Your viewership means everything. Before we begin, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? We love connecting globally. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Foundations. Nathan Ryder believed in three things: hard work, loyalty, and consequences. Growing up with an alcoholic father who disappeared for weeks at a time had taught him self-reliance. His mother, working 3 jobs to keep food on the table, had shown him what dedication meant. By 35, he'd built a modest but comfortable life through sheer determination. When he met Melanie Winters at a mutual friend's barbecue 6 years ago, what struck him wasn't just her vibrant laugh or stunning blue eyes, but how she listened, really listened, to his stories about restoring his grandfather's muscle car. 3 years into their marriage, he still remembered the rain-soaked afternoon when she proposed to him on the pier where they'd had their first date. "You're the most genuine person I've ever met," she'd said, raindrops clinging to her eyelashes. "I want to spend my life with someone real." Their wedding was small. Nathan had few family members left, and Melanie only invited her sister Vanessa and a handful of friends. They bought a fixer-upper in a decent neighborhood, and Nathan spent weekends installing cabinets and refinishing floors while working full-time at Dynatech Security Systems, where he'd risen to security operations manager. Money was tight, but manageable until 10 months ago, when Melanie lost her job as an event coordinator. Nathan took on extra hours, sometimes working 16-hour days. "We'll get through this," he assured her when she fretted about contributing. That's what partners do. But something had shifted. Melanie started going out more frequently with friends from yoga. Her phone was suddenly password protected. The passionate woman who once couldn't keep her hands off him now flinched at his touch. When he initiated conversations, her responses became clipped, distracted. The distance grew when Melanie suggested renovating their home, specifically the master bedroom. "We need to update that awful bathroom," she insisted, "and the closet needs expanding." Though they couldn't afford it, Nathan agreed, hoping it might rekindle something between them. He couldn't be home during the dusty renovations due to his asthma, so Melanie proposed he stay with her sister Vanessa temporarily. "It'll just be for a few weeks," she said. "Vanessa has that spare room she never uses." Nathan took pride in providing, continuing to pay their mortgage, the renovation costs, groceries, and Melanie's car payment, while also contributing to expenses at Vanessa's. His savings dwindled, but he never complained. One evening at Vanessa's, his coworker Doug called about a security breach at one of their client sites. "Looks like someone's credentials were compromised," Doug explained. "The system logs show access from unusual locations." "Check the secondary authentication protocols," Nathan replied. "Someone might have bypassed our main firewall." Later, he couldn't help thinking about those compromised credentials. Something fell off in his own life, too, as if he were locked out of what was really happening. That night, he dreamed of empty houses with changing locks. Chapter 2, Cracks in the Foundation. 2 months into the renovations, Nathan grew suspicious. The contractor seemed vague when Nathan inquired about progress, and Melanie discouraged his visits to check on the work. "It's still a mess," she'd say. "You'll just trigger your asthma." Meanwhile, Melanie's shopping habits had changed. Packages arrived at their house, expensive clothes and perfumes that she never wore when visiting him at Vanessa's. Their joint account steadily depleted despite Nathan's consistent deposits. One Tuesday evening, Nathan stopped by their house unannounced. He'd forgotten important medication and needed to retrieve it. The contractor's van wasn't there, but an unfamiliar black Audi was parked in their driveway. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the renovation work appeared minimal. Some drywall had been removed, but little else had changed in 2 months. In the kitchen, he found 2 empty wine glasses and a half-empty bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon, Melanie's favorite. Before he could investigate further, his phone pinged with a message from Melanie. "At yoga, everything okay?" Nathan glanced at the wall clock, 8:30 p.m. He texted back, "Just grabbing my medication. When did you start taking evening yoga classes?" Her response came quickly. "New schedule. Leaving now. Don't wait up. Staying at our place tonight to let the paint dry." But there was no fresh paint smell in the house. Only cologne, masculine and unfamiliar. Nathan retrieved his medication and left, questions swirling. That night at Vanessa's, he couldn't sleep. He accessed their shared cloud account on his laptop and found Melanie's phone automatically backed up photos there. Recent images showed her at restaurants and a cabin retreat, places she'd never mentioned visiting, always with the same man, tall, sandy-haired, with an expensive watch and practiced smile. The man appeared in 63 photos over the past 4 months. In some, he wore Nathan's favorite leather jacket. "Hey, you're up late," Vanessa said, appearing in the doorway of the guest room. "Everything okay?" Nathan closed the laptop. "Just work stuff." The next day, Nathan called their bank and discovered several large withdrawals he had made. The credit card statement showed charges at hotels just outside town and at a jewelry store where he'd never shopped. At work, Nathan requested access to the security system he'd installed in their home last year, a system Melanie had asked him to disable during renovations because the contractors keep triggering it. He hadn't actually disabled it, merely silenced the notifications to his phone. The system's logs revealed entry patterns when Nathan was at work or staying at Vanessa's. The motion sensors in their bedroom had been active most nights. Nights when Melanie claimed to be sleeping at yoga friends' houses because of the renovation mess. That evening, Vanessa invited him to dinner in their small kitchen. She seemed uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact. "Mel called today," she finally said, pushing food around her plate. "She thinks the renovations might take another month." "Does she?" Nathan kept his voice neutral. "That's interesting. She mentioned you've been under a lot of stress lately. Said sometimes you act paranoid." Nathan set down his fork. "What exactly did she tell you, Vanessa?" Vanessa hesitated. "She's worried about you, that's all. Said you've been tracking her movements, questioning her friends." This was a lie. He'd never once called Melanie's friends or questioned her whereabouts until yesterday. "I see," Nathan said quietly. That night, he received a text from an unknown number. "You should know your wife has moved on. Stop clinging to someone who doesn't want you." Nathan recognized the expensive watch visible in the corner of the profile picture. He didn't respond, but he took a screenshot. The next day was December 23rd. Nathan purchased 2 gift boxes and wrapping paper, then drove to their house when he knew Melanie would be out. Using his key, he entered silently. In their bedroom, the evidence was everywhere. Men's toiletries in the bathroom, unfamiliar clothes in his closet, and on Melanie's nightstand, a framed photo of her with the sandy-haired man from the cloud photos, a photo that had replaced their wedding picture. Nathan didn't rage or break things. Instead, he calmly collected what he needed, placed items in the gift boxes, and wrapped them carefully. He left them under the small Christmas tree in their living room, then departed. That evening, he received a call from Melanie. "Nathan," she sounded tense. "We need to talk after Christmas. About the future." "I think we do," he agreed. "I've been thinking a lot about loyalty lately." "Good," she said, sounding relieved. "I'm glad you're being realistic." After they hung up, Nathan made one more call to a locksmith he knew through work. Chapter 3. The Breaking Point. Christmas Eve arrived cold and gray. Nathan spent the morning working remotely from Vanessa's dining room, finalizing security protocols for a new client. Around noon, Vanessa emerged from her bedroom, makeup carefully applied despite having no plans. "You're not seeing Melanie today?" she asked casually. "We're meeting tomorrow," Nathan lied. "She's busy with last-minute shopping." Vanessa nodded too quickly. "I'm heading out to meet friends." "Don't wait up." After she left, Nathan accessed the home security system again. The cameras showed Melanie and the sandy-haired man entering the house, carrying shopping bags and laughing. They kissed in the hallway before disappearing into the bedroom, his bedroom. Hours later, as Nathan prepared a simple dinner for one, his phone buzzed with a text from Melanie. "Thanks for existing. Don't come. No Merry Christmas." No explanation, just a dismissal. 20 minutes later, Vanessa returned home, cheeks flushed from the cold or from discomfort. "Good evening," Nathan said. "How are your friends?" "Great," she replied, avoiding his eyes. "We had coffee and exchanged gifts." "At Melanie and Brady's Christmas party?" Nathan asked quietly. Vanessa froze. "What? Brady Thompson. That's his name, right? Melanie's lover. The one she's with right now. In our home, hosting a Christmas party I wasn't invited to. Vanessa's face crumpled. Nathan, did you know from the beginning? His voice remained calm, which seemed to unnerve her more than anger would have. Was this whole renovation story a setup to get me out of the house? No, I only found out a few weeks ago. Melanie swore it was temporary insanity, that she would end it. Yet you let me stay here, paying for everything, while she moved him in. She told me you were having episodes, paranoia, obsessive behavior, that you were financially controlling, and the renovation story was your idea to track her movements. Vanessa sank into a chair. Last week, she said you were just squatting here because you had nowhere else to go. Nathan absorbed this without visible reaction. And you believe that? Despite seeing me work 16-hour days to cover 2 households. I didn't want to believe it, but she's my sister. Tears welled in Vanessa's eyes. Tonight at the party, I overheard Brady talking about how they'd been together for nearly a year. How they're planning to go to Bali once you're out of the picture. I left immediately. Nathan nodded once. I appreciate your honesty, belated as it is. He retreated to the guest room and locked the door. Inside, he opened his laptop and made several phone calls, speaking in low, measured tones. He didn't sleep. At 7 a.m. on Christmas morning, Nathan drove to his house. The locksmith had done his job well. Nathan's key no longer worked in the door. He walked around to the back entrance, where he'd had a keypad installed last spring, a keypad whose code Melanie had apparently forgotten to change. Inside, the house bore evidence of the previous night's celebration. Wine bottles, dessert plates, and discarded gift wrap littered the living room. Under the tree, his 2 wrapped boxes remained untouched. Nathan heard movement upstairs. Someone was awake. He took a seat in the living room and waited, the 2 gift boxes now placed on the coffee table before him. 20 minutes later, Melanie descended the stairs in a silk robe. She froze when she saw Nathan. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. "How did you get in?" "Merry Christmas to you too," Nathan replied. "I see you changed the locks. Fortunately, I built this house's security system." Melanie's expression hardened. "You need to leave. Now, Brady will be down any minute." Brady Thompson, senior loan officer at Meridian Bank. Aged 42, divorced twice, leases the Audi A6 he parks in my driveway, and apparently prefers my leather jackets to his own. Nathan's voice remained conversational. "Currently sleeping in my bed." Melanie blanched. "You've been stalking us?" "This is exactly why. Why you told everyone I was having paranoid episodes. Why you drained our accounts. Why you made me pay for renovations that never happened while you lived with your lover in my house." Before Melanie could respond, Brady appeared on the stairs, wearing only boxers and an open dress shirt. "What's going on, babe?" He stopped when he saw Nathan. "Oh, it's you. Listen, man, this is awkward, but Mel and I—" "Save it." Nathan cut him off. "I brought Christmas gifts. One for each of you." Nathan pushed the boxes across the coffee table. "Are you serious right now?" Melanie's laugh was brittle. "We tell you it's over, and you bring presents? Open them," Nathan said softly. "Please. One last gift from the man who's been paying for everything." Something in his tone made them hesitate, but curiosity won out. Melanie reached for the smaller box, leaving the larger one for Brady. They unwrapped them simultaneously. Melanie opened her box first and froze. Inside was her mother's wedding ring, the one she claimed to have lost months ago, along with printed screenshots of her text messages with Brady planning Nathan's removal from their lives. Beneath these were bank statements highlighting the money she diverted and hotel receipts spanning 9 months. "How did you—" she began. Brady's box contained something else entirely. When he removed the lid, a mechanical whirring sound filled the room. Inside was a small monitor playing a video compilation, Brady and Melanie in Nathan's house, in his car, in his bed. Intercut were scenes of Brady meeting with other women in various hotels, all captured by the security system Nathan had installed and the tracking software he'd developed. The device continued moving, cycling through dozens of damning clips. "I don't understand," Brady's voice shook. "These are private moments. You recorded us? That's illegal. Is it?" Nathan raised an eyebrow. "I recorded security footage in my own home, using systems installed with my wife's knowledge. As for the other footage, let's just say information security works both ways." "You're sick." Melanie whispered. No, I'm thorough. Nathan stood. And I'm just getting started. He walked to the door, then turned back. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the renovations. As the door closed behind him, Nathan heard the beginning of their argument, the first of many to come. His phone buzzed with a confirmation message. Phase 1 complete. Chapter 4. Pieces in Motion. The week between Christmas and New Year's passed in a blur of activity for Nathan. He moved into a furnished month-to-month rental apartment downtown, using cash from a separate account Melanie knew nothing about. He'd opened it 3 years ago to save for an anniversary trip to Italy, a surprise that would now never happen. Instead of wallowing, Nathan channeled his energy into methodical planning. His background in security systems and risk assessment proved invaluable as he dissected his marriage's collapse and developed his response. On December 27th, Nathan met with Hal Bergman, his former mentor and now a partner at a prestigious law firm. Divorce is the least of your concerns, Hal said, reviewing the documentation Nathan had compiled. With this evidence of financial impropriety, she'd be lucky to walk away with anything. I'm not filing yet, Nathan replied, sipping his coffee. Timing matters. Hal studied him. What exactly are you planning, Nathan? Justice. Proportional consequences. Be careful, Hal warned. Revenge has a way of consuming the vengeful. Nathan smiled without humor. This isn't revenge. It's correction. That afternoon, Nathan visited Vanessa's apartment to collect his remaining belongings. She answered the door with red-rimmed eyes. Nathan, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. He nodded curtly. Yes, you should have. Melanie's been calling me nonstop, furious about those gift boxes. What exactly did you give them? The truth, Nathan replied, gathering his clothes from the guest room. Something in short supply lately. Vanessa followed him anxiously. She's saying you installed cameras everywhere, that you've been spying on them for months. Is that true? I installed a security system in my own home last year, with Melanie's knowledge and consent. If that captured her affair, that's hardly my fault. And Brady? She said you somehow hacked his phone or something. Nathan zipped his suitcase. Brady Thompson works at Meridian Bank, which happens to be a client of Dynatech Security Systems. We handle their digital security protocols. Draw your own conclusions. Before leaving, Nathan handed Vanessa an envelope. Your Christmas gift. I didn't forget. Inside was a check covering 3 months of her rent, the exact amount he'd contributed while staying there. I don't understand, she whispered. You were used to, Vanessa. Melanie exploited your loyalty. I don't blame you entirely. His eyes hardened. But I don't forgive you either. On New Year's Eve, while others celebrated fresh starts, Nathan sat alone in his apartment with his laptop, monitoring the digital tripwires he'd set. One by one, they began triggering. At 10:17 p.m., Melanie attempted to access their joint investment account, only to receive a fraud alert. Simultaneously, Brady's work email received an anonymous message containing selected video clips from Christmas morning, just enough to demonstrate what existed, not enough to constitute harassment. At 11:43 p.m., Melanie called Nathan. He let it go to voicemail. Nathan, we need to talk. Whatever you think you're doing, it needs to stop. Brady says this could be construed as blackmail. We can work something out, division of assets, a clean break. Just call me back. Nathan didn't call back. Instead, he sent a simple text at exactly midnight. Happy New Year. Change is coming soon. On January 2nd, Nathan returned to work. His boss, Richard Keller, called him into his office immediately. Got a strange call from Meridian Bank, Richard began. Brady Thompson specifically requested we remove you from their account. Claimed you had a personal vendetta. Nathan was prepared. Brady Thompson is having an affair with my wife. I've recused myself from all Meridian accounts as of December 26th to avoid any conflict of interest. He slid a formal disclosure document across the desk. You'll find everything properly documented. Richard relaxed visibly. That's what I expected from you. Professional as always. He hesitated. I'm sorry about your personal situation. Thank you. I'd appreciate discretion. Of course. By the way, the Carlton Hotel account needs a security upgrade. Think you could handle that personally? Nathan nodded, concealing his satisfaction. The Carlton was where Brady took clients, and his paramours. That evening, Brady Thompson received a call from his bank's fraud department. Unusual charges had been flagged on his credit cards. His accounts were temporarily frozen. Meanwhile, Melanie discovered her gym membership revoked due to inappropriate behavior with a trainer she'd never met. Her favorite salon suddenly had no record of her appointments. Small inconveniences began multiplying. Nathan watched from a distance, neither gloating nor intervening. He simply observed as the consequences of his careful planning unfolded. On January 5th, Melanie finally gained access to their joint investment account, only to find Nathan had legally withdrawn his contributions 3 days earlier, nearly 70% of the total. That same day, Brady Thompson arrived at work to find an internal audit underway. Anonymous concerns about lending irregularities had triggered a review of his loan approvals. Nothing would be found. Nathan wasn't fabricating evidence, but the scrutiny alone caused Brady significant stress. "Who are you calling?" Brady demanded when Melanie reached for her phone that evening. "Nathan, this has to stop. Don't. Every time you contact him, something else happens. It's like he's playing with us." "Playing with us? He's destroying us." "He's destroying you," Brady corrected. "I'm just collateral damage." The first fracture in their relationship appeared, exactly as Nathan had calculated. Chapter 5. The Deeper Game. By mid-January, Nathan had established new routines. He worked efficiently, maintained his physical fitness at a different gym, and spent evenings researching the next phases of his plan. To colleagues, he appeared remarkably composed for someone going through marital collapse. Few realized it was because he remained in perfect control. After their first confrontation at Christmas, Nathan had neither contacted nor responded to Melanie or Brady directly. Instead, he moved invisible pieces across an unseen board, creating pressure points that cracked their newfound relationship. Nathan's investigation had revealed something crucial. Brady Thompson hadn't pursued Melanie randomly. Brady had a pattern of targeting women with financially secure husbands, particularly those whose careers gave him potential advantages. Before Melanie, he had affairs with 2 clients' wives and a colleague's spouse. More significantly, Brady had specifically asked about Nathan's position at Dynatech during their first meeting at a charity event, information Nathan obtained from an acquaintance who'd witnessed their introduction. For Nathan's security work, he knew Meridian Bank was bidding on a contract to handle financial services for TechCore Industries, Dynatech's largest client. The timeline matched perfectly. Brady began pursuing Melanie shortly after Meridian entered the bidding process. Nathan now understood he'd been targeted not just as a husband, but as an unwitting source of valuable corporate intelligence. Through Melanie, Brady had gained insights into Dynatech security protocols and client relationships. Nathan had often discussed work challenges at home, never suspecting his wife was relaying information to someone who could benefit from it. On January 17th, Nathan requested a meeting with Richard Keller and the company's legal counsel. He presented his findings methodically, emphasizing the potential security breach rather than his personal grievance. "I believe sensitive client information may have been compromised," Nathan explained. "Not through any system vulnerability, but through my own household." Richard's expression darkened. "Are you saying your wife?" "I'm saying Brady Thompson pursued a relationship with my wife coincidentally around the same time Meridian Bank began competing for the TechCore account. Given his position and the nature of information I sometimes discussed at home, I believe corporate espionage was at least part of his motivation." The legal counsel, Patricia Winters, leaned forward. "This is a serious allegation, Nathan. What evidence supports it?" Nathan provided a timeline correlating Brady's involvement with Melanie to specific business developments between Meridian and TechCore. He included documented instances where information he'd only shared at home appeared in Meridian's subsequent proposals. "Jesus," Richard muttered. "TechCore nearly went with Meridian last quarter. Their proposal addressed vulnerability concerns we'd only identified internally." "Exactly," Nathan nodded. "I'm not suggesting we make accusations without proof. I'm recommending we conduct a thorough security review and quietly alert TechCore to potential compromised information." Patricia tapped her pen thoughtfully. This could warrant investigation beyond our company. Corporate espionage has legal implications. I understand, Nathan replied. I'll cooperate fully with whatever you decide. As Nathan anticipated, Richard and Patricia agreed to a discreet internal investigation first, before involving authorities. This approach served Nathan's purposes perfectly, creating legitimate scrutiny of Brady without appearing to orchestrate it. That weekend, Nathan received an unexpected visitor at his apartment. Vanessa stood at his door, clutching her purse nervously. "Can we talk?" she asked. Nathan gestured her inside without warmth. His apartment was spartanly furnished but meticulously organized. "Melanie's falling apart," Vanessa began. "She says you're systematically destroying her life, that you've frozen accounts, canceled services, and might get Brady fired." "Interesting interpretation," Nathan remarked. "Has she mentioned why all this might be happening?" "She admits the affair was wrong, but says your response is disproportionate. She wants to negotiate." "There's nothing to negotiate. I'm simply disentangling my life from hers." Vanessa hesitated. "There's more. Brady moved out yesterday. Said it was too complicated right now with everything happening at work. Melanie's devastated." Nathan allowed himself a small smile. "How unfortunate. What did you do, Nathan?" "Nothing illegal. Nothing dishonest. I simply ensured appropriate consequences found their way to appropriate people." Vanessa studied him. "You're not who I thought you were." "Few of us are," Nathan replied. "But I'm exactly who I've always been. Someone who values loyalty and repays its absence accordingly." After Vanessa left, Nathan received an email from an anonymous account. It contained a single video file, Melanie and Brady arguing in Nathan's house, with Brady shouting that he didn't sign up for this level of complications, and Melanie begging him to stay. The sender's message read simply, "Thought you might appreciate this. Your reputation at the Carlton precedes you. Let me know if you need anything else." The concierge at the Carlton Hotel had apparently taken a liking to Nathan during his security upgrade work. The hotel staff had little affection for Brady Thompson, known for his condescending treatment of service workers. Nathan saved the video file to an encrypted drive. Another piece in place. The next day, Brady Thompson was called into a meeting with Meridian Bank's compliance officer. His recent loan approvals were under review, and his access to certain client accounts had been restricted pending investigation. No mention was made of TechCore or Dynatech, but the message was clear: Brady was under scrutiny. That evening, Nathan received his first direct contact from Brady, a furious text message. "I know what you're doing. Back off, or I'll make sure everyone knows you've been stalking and harassing us." Nathan didn't respond. Instead, he forwarded the message to his attorney with a note. "Documentation of harassment from BT. Please add to the file." Phase 2 was unfolding precisely as planned. Nathan had created legitimate investigations into Brady's professional conduct without directly accusing him of anything. He'd ensured financial pressure on both Melanie and Brady without illegal actions. And most importantly, he'd driven the first wedge between them, right on schedule. As January ended, Nathan prepared for Phase 3, the part that would require him to become visible again. The part where he would finally speak his truth, not just to Melanie and Brady, but to everyone who mattered in their lives. Chapter 6. Converging Forces. Early February brought unseasonably cold weather to the city. Nathan welcomed the chill. It matched his methodical state of mind as he prepared for the next stage of his plan. For 6 weeks, he'd worked through a carefully structured process. First, isolating Melanie and Brady from their support systems by revealing selected truths. Then, creating legitimate professional scrutiny for Brady that had nothing to do with the affair. Finally, applying financial pressure through entirely legal means. The result: Brady had moved out of Nathan's house and back to his own apartment. Melanie faced mounting credit card debt she couldn't pay, and their relationship, built on deception, was crumbling under pressure. Now came the phase requiring precision timing. On February 3rd, Nathan received a call from Patricia Winters, Dynatech's legal counsel. "The internal review is complete," she informed him. "We found sufficient evidence of information compromise to justify further action." "What's the next step?" Nathan asked, though he already knew. We're meeting with TechCore tomorrow to disclose potential security concerns. They'll likely involve their legal team. The FBI could become involved if corporate espionage is substantiated. Understand. I'll prepare documentation of my personal timeline. After hanging up, Nathan sent a brief email to Hal Bergman, proceeding with legal filing as discussed. Timeline accelerated. The following day, Nathan filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences rather than adultery. The filing was straightforward but included a crucial attachment, a request for financial disclosure and asset freezing due to substantial evidence of financial impropriety. This legal maneuver effectively prevented Melanie from selling their house or accessing their remaining joint assets without court approval. The timing was deliberate, occurring simultaneously with Brady's professional crisis, as TechCore learned their security might have been compromised. On February 5th, Nathan received 3 voicemails within an hour. One from Melanie, one from Brady, and one from Vanessa. He listened to each without expression. Melanie. What the hell, Nathan? Asset freezing? Financial impropriety? I need access to our accounts. Call me immediately. Brady. Listen, you paranoid psychopath. I don't know what lies you're spreading at TechCore, but I'm being questioned by my firm's ethics committee. Stop this witch hunt, or I'll file harassment charges. Vanessa. Nathan, please. Melanie's desperate. Whatever point you're making, she's learned it. Can't you just talk to her? This is getting out of hand. Nathan responded to none of them directly. Instead, he sent a single email to Melanie with Brady and Vanessa CC'd. I'm available to meet at Hal Bergman's office tomorrow at 2 p.m. to discuss the divorce proceedings and financial disclosures. This is not negotiable. Further communication should go through legal channels. At precisely 1:55 p.m. the next day, Nathan sat calmly in Hal Bergman's conference room. Melanie arrived alone at 2:03, looking significantly different from when Nathan had last seen her Christmas. Her designer clothes had been replaced by a simple blouse and slacks. The confident gleam in her eye had dulled to anxious wariness. Where's Brady? Nathan asked as she took a seat. We're taking a break, she replied stiffly. This doesn't concern him anyway. Actually, it does. Nathan nodded to Hal, who placed a folder on the table. Mrs. Ryder, Hal began formally. We've compiled documentation of joint assets that were diverted to private accounts over the past year, totaling approximately $42,000. We also have evidence of misrepresentation regarding home renovation expenses. Melanie's face flushed. That's ridiculous. I used that money for the renovations. Renovations that never substantially occurred, Nathan interjected. I've had the house professionally assessed. Less than $6,000 of actual work was completed. I can explain that, Melanie stammered. The contractor had issues. Materials were backordered. The contractor barely visited our house. Nathan continued evenly. And yet someone was there almost every night. Perhaps Brady can explain where the other $36,000 went. Melanie's composure cracked. This is why he left. He couldn't take the pressure you're putting on everyone. You're obsessed, Nathan. This crusade you're on, it's not healthy. Is that what he told you? That I'm obsessed? Nathan opened a laptop on the table. Let me show you something Brady neglected to mention. He played a video of Brady in an upscale restaurant with another woman, not Melanie, taken just 2 days earlier. They were clearly intimate, leaning close, hands touching. This was Tuesday evening, while you were taking a break, Nathan said quietly. Her name is Diana Miller. She's the wife of a TechCore executive. Coincidentally, the same executive whose team is investigating information leaks to Meridian Bank. Melanie stared at the screen in shock. That's not. He wouldn't. He wouldn't did. Just like he did with Christine Owens before you and Laura Sandoval before her. Brady has a type. Women connected to men whose information has value to him. You're lying, Melanie whispered, but her uncertainty was evident. Nathan closed the laptop. The difference is that unlike those other men, I noticed, I investigated, and I responded. Melanie's eyes filled with angry tears. So this whole thing, freezing accounts, the investigations at his work, it's all an elaborate revenge scheme? You're trying to destroy both of us. No, Melanie. I didn't create fraudulent bank transactions. I didn't fake Brady's corporate espionage. I didn't invent his pattern of targeting connected women. I simply stopped protecting people who betrayed me. Hal cleared his throat. Perhaps we should return to the matter of financial disclosure and asset division. For the next hour, they discussed practical matters. Nathan's terms were non-negotiable, but technically fair. Melanie would receive a settlement amount that reflected her actual contributions to their marriage, minus the funds she diverted. The house would be sold, with proceeds split according to the same formula. These terms are contingent on full cooperation with the financial investigation, Hal concluded. Any further attempts to hide assets will result in criminal charges. Melanie looked defeated. And if I agree? Then we proceed civilly, Nathan replied. No criminal charges for the financial impropriety. A clean legal separation with fair division of what actually remains. After Melanie left, Hal turned to Nathan. That video of Brady with another woman, was that really from Tuesday? Yes. The Carlton Hotel's restaurant, 8:17 p.m. Their security system records everything. And the corporate espionage angle? Legitimate investigation underway. I didn't fabricate evidence. I simply connected existing dots for the right people. Hal studied his former protege. You've thought of everything, haven't you? Not everything, Nathan admitted. But enough. That evening, as Nathan reviewed documentation for the next day's meeting with TechCore investigators, he received a text from an unfamiliar number. This is Brady. We need to talk. Man to man. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., Riverside Park by the boat launch. Come alone. Nathan considered the request carefully. Brady was cornered, desperate, and potentially dangerous. But Nathan had anticipated this moment too. 7 a.m. I'll be there, he replied. Phase 3 was entering its final stage. The separate pressures Nathan had applied to Melanie and Brady were forcing them into individual crises, just as he'd planned. Tomorrow would bring the culmination of weeks of careful groundwork, an opportunity to deliver the final blow to the man who had helped destroy his marriage. But first, Nathan had one more call to make. Chapter 7, Collision Course. The morning air bit sharply as Nathan arrived at Riverside Park at 6:45 a.m. The boat launch area was deserted this early in February, exactly why Brady had chosen it. Nathan parked in the public lot and walked calmly toward the waterfront, his breath clouding before him. He wasn't concerned about meeting Brady alone. Concern required uncertainty, and Nathan had eliminated uncertainty from this equation weeks ago. Every possible scenario had been mapped and prepared for, including this one. At precisely 7 a.m., Brady's black Audi pulled into the lot. He emerged looking significantly less polished than in Melanie's photographs. His designer stubble had grown into an unkempt beard, and dark circles shadowed his eyes. The confidence that had once radiated from him had dimmed to desperate intensity. You actually came, Brady called as he approached, his voice carrying across the empty park. I said I would. Nathan remained still, hands in the pockets of his overcoat. Brady stopped several feet away. This has to end, Ryder. You've made your point. Have I? What point would that be? Don't play dumb. The account reviews at work, the ethics committee, the TechCore investigation. You're systematically destroying my career. Interesting theory, Nathan replied. Though it presupposes your career difficulties aren't simply consequences of your own actions. Brady's face flushed with anger. Cut the philosophical bullshit. I know exactly what you're doing. You somehow convinced TechCore there was a security breach linked to me. I simply reported a legitimate concern to my employer. Their investigation is independent. Independent? Brady laughed bitterly. Nothing about your campaign against me has been independent. You've orchestrated everything, the videos, the financial pressure, even turning Melanie against me. Melanie turned against you herself when she discovered you're already pursuing your next target. Diana Miller, isn't it? Another wife with a conveniently placed husband. Brady's expression flickered with surprise before hardening again. That's nothing. A business connection. Diana's husband oversees client relations at TechCore. How convenient for your purposes. Though perhaps less convenient now that he's aware of your pattern. Brady took a step closer, his voice dropping to a threatening growl. Listen carefully. I'm offering you one chance to back off. Call off the TechCore investigation, stop whatever you're doing to my accounts, and let Melanie access your joint funds. Or what? Or I'll make sure everyone knows how you cracked after your wife left you. How you installed surveillance equipment, stalked us, created elaborate conspiracy theories. I'll file a restraining order citing your unstable behavior. Your professional reputation will be destroyed. Nathan smiled faintly. You seem to be operating under several misconceptions, Brady. First, that I have direct control over the TechCore investigation, which I don't. Second, that I've done anything illegal regarding your accounts, which I haven't. And third, that I haven't recorded this conversation, which I have. He removed his hand from his pocket, revealing a small recording device. You're bluffing, Brady hissed. Am I? You just threatened me and inadvertently confirmed your relationship with Diana Miller has a professional motivation connected to TechCore. The ethics committee will find that interesting. Brady lunged forward suddenly, grabbing Nathan's coat lapels. Give me that recorder. Nathan didn't resist or fight back. He simply met Brady's gaze calmly, which seemed to unnerve the other man more than any physical response. Assaulting me won't help your situation, Nathan said quietly, particularly with witnesses present. Brady glanced around the empty park in confusion. What witnesses? On cue, a police cruiser pulled into the parking lot, its lights flashing but siren silent. Officer Ramirez, whom Nathan had called the previous evening, citing concerns about a potentially volatile meeting, stepped out and began walking toward them. Brady released Nathan immediately, his face draining of color. Mr. Ryder, Officer Ramirez called. Everything all right here? Just a heated discussion, officer, Nathan replied calmly, straightening his coat. Mr. Thompson was expressing some frustrations. Looked a bit more physical than a discussion from where I was parked, Ramirez observed, eyes narrowing at Brady. It's fine, Brady muttered, backing away. We're done here anyway. Actually, Nathan interjected, I'd like to provide a statement regarding the threat Mr. Thompson just made, which I've recorded with his knowledge. He held up the device, and the physical contact that followed. Brady's expression morphed from shock to fury to calculation within seconds. This is absurd. He's been harassing me for weeks. The recording will show I simply asked him to stop. Then you won't mind if I review it, Officer Ramirez replied, along with the park's security camera footage. Brady's eyes darted to the boathouse, where a security camera was indeed mounted, another detail Nathan had verified beforehand. This isn't over, Brady said under his breath as he turned to leave. Actually, it is, Nathan replied. It's been over since Christmas morning. After providing his statement to Officer Ramirez, Nathan drove directly to Dynatech for his meeting with the TechCore security team. His phone buzzed repeatedly with messages from Melanie, which he ignored. Whatever crisis Brady's revelations had triggered in their relationship was their problem now. The TechCore meeting proceeded exactly as Nathan had anticipated. The evidence of information compromise was compelling enough to justify a formal investigation, but not dramatic enough to immediately destroy Brady's career. This delicate balance was by design. Nathan wanted sustainable consequences, not martyrdom. That afternoon, Nathan received an unexpected call from Richard Keller. The TechCore team was impressed with your professionalism, Richard began, especially given the personal connection. I'm committed to the integrity of our work, Nathan replied. That's why I'm calling. We're restructuring the security division next quarter. I want you to consider the director position. Nathan allowed himself a moment of genuine surprise. I appreciate the vote of confidence. You've demonstrated exceptional judgment under pressure. Think about it and let me know by next week. After hanging up, Nathan stood at his apartment window, watching the city lights emerge as dusk fell. The promotion offer was an unexpected development, a positive consequence amidst the calculated negatives he'd been orchestrating. His phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. Melanie's moving out of your house tomorrow. She asked me to help. I thought you should know. Nathan didn't reply, but made a note to contact the security company to change the alarm codes after they left. Another piece shifting across the board. Later that evening, Nathan's lawyer called with news. Brady Thompson had been placed on administrative leave pending the conclusion of Meridian Bank's internal investigation. The Ethics Committee had received an anonymous package containing evidence of his pattern of relationships with strategically connected women. Nathan hadn't sent that package. Someone else, perhaps Diana Miller's husband, had drawn the same conclusions Nathan had and taken independent action. The ripples of Brady's behavior were spreading beyond Nathan's direct influence. As Nathan prepared for bed, he received one final message, an email from Melanie. I don't know if you'll even read this, but I need to say it. I was wrong. Not just about the affair, but about who you are. I thought you were simple, predictable, safe. Now I realize you see everything, calculate everything. Brady is finished at Meridian. Diana's husband confronted him today. You orchestrated all of this somehow, didn't you? Not with lies, but with truth strategically deployed. I never really knew you at all. Nathan read it twice before closing his laptop without replying. She was right about one thing. She had never really known him. Few people did. Tomorrow would bring the beginning of the final phase, the part where Nathan reclaimed everything that was rightfully his, including his reputation. The part where Melanie and Brady would face the full public consequences of their private choices. Nathan slept soundly that night, dreamless and calm in the knowledge that justice, as he defined it, was nearly complete. Chapter 8. Exposure. By mid-February, the careful groundwork Nathan had laid began producing visible results throughout Melanie and Brady's lives. What had started as private pressure points were now becoming public consequences. On February 15th, Nathan received a message from his realtor that a couple was interested in purchasing their house, significantly below market value, but still enough to satisfy the divorce settlement terms. Nathan authorized proceeding with the sale, knowing Melanie could not legally object given the asset division agreement she'd signed. That same day, Meridian Bank announced a leadership restructuring that conspicuously omitted Brady Thompson's name from the senior loan officer roster. Local banking industry newsletters noted his leave of absence during an internal review of procedural compliance. Nathan attended a financial industry dinner that evening as Richard Keller's guest. Several Meridian Bank executives were present, all of whom pointedly avoided discussing Brady. However, during cocktail hour, Meridian's compliance officer approached Nathan discreetly. That information you shared with TechCore was quite illuminating, she said quietly. Patterns like that don't develop overnight. I simply connected existing data points, Nathan replied. Your organization drew its own conclusions. She nodded appreciatively. Well, those conclusions have led to a comprehensive review of his client portfolio. We've found irregularities. Professional consequences for professional misconduct, Nathan observed. Seems appropriate. Indeed. She sipped her champagne. By the way, I understand congratulations are in order. Director of Security Operations is quite an achievement. News of Nathan's promotion had begun circulating in industry circles, enhancing his professional reputation even as his personal life underwent reconstruction. The timing was not coincidental. Nathan had ensured his career advancement would align with Brady's professional decline. The following Monday, Nathan arrived at court for the scheduled divorce hearing. Melanie was already seated with her attorney, looking diminished in a conservative suit that Nathan had never seen before. The confident woman who had dismissed him on Christmas had been replaced by someone visibly anxious. The proceedings were brief and anticlimactic. Given Melanie's signed agreement to the asset division and her documented financial impropriety, the judge found no reason to deviate from the proposed settlement. When asked if she had anything to add, Melanie simply shook her head. As they left the courtroom, Melanie approached Nathan in the hallway. "Is this enough?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "Have I paid sufficiently?" Nathan regarded her dispassionately. "This was never about payment, Melanie. It was about consequences proportional to actions. Brady's being investigated by the Banking Commission now. His career is over, and I'm left with almost nothing." "You have exactly what you earned," Nathan corrected. "No more, no less. We were married for 3 years," she persisted. "Doesn't that count for anything?" "It counted for everything until you decided it didn't." A flash of the old Melanie surfaced momentarily. You know, for months I told myself you were cold, unfeeling. That's why I turned to Brady. Now I realize you feel everything, perhaps too deeply. This elaborate vengeance, it's not the action of someone who doesn't care. You've misinterpreted systematic justice as emotional vengeance, Nathan replied. A common mistake. Before she could respond, Nathan's phone rang, the TechCorps investigator requesting an urgent meeting. Nathan excused himself, leaving Melanie standing alone in the courthouse hallway. The TechCorps meeting revealed the final piece of Nathan's carefully constructed puzzle. Their investigation had confirmed that confidential security protocols had indeed been compromised, with evidence linking the breach to specific meetings between Brady and Melanie, during which Nathan had discussed work challenges. We're not pursuing charges against your ex-wife, the investigator explained. She appears to have been unwittingly involved. But we are filing corporate espionage charges against Thompson. I understand, Nathan nodded. I'll provide whatever testimony is needed. That evening, local business news reported Brady Thompson's termination from Meridian Bank, following serious violations of confidentiality protocols and ethical standards. The article mentioned potential criminal charges pending further investigation. Nathan read the news dispassionately. He hadn't fabricated Brady's corporate espionage. He had simply ensured the existing evidence would be discovered by the right people at the right time. The following day, Nathan received an unexpected visitor at his office. Diana Miller, elegantly dressed and composed, requested a brief meeting. I won't take much of your time, she began once they were seated in a conference room. I simply wanted to thank you personally. For what specifically? Nathan asked, though he already knew. For the warning about Brady Thompson. The evidence you shared with my husband saved us from considerable damage, professionally and personally. Nathan inclined his head slightly. Mr. Thompson has a documented pattern. I merely provided context. My husband says you were remarkably restrained in your characterization of the situation. You could have vilified Thompson, but instead you simply presented facts. Facts are generally more effective than accusations. Diana studied him thoughtfully. You know, most men in your position would have lashed out emotionally, possibly violently. Instead, you orchestrated a response that ensured everyone faced appropriate consequences for their actual actions. It's rather impressive. Justice doesn't require excess, Nathan replied. Only precision. After Diana left, Nathan received 2 significant messages. The first was from his realtor. The house sale had closed successfully. The second was a voicemail from Brady Thompson. You've destroyed everything. Brady's voice was slurred, possibly from alcohol. Banking commission investigation, criminal charges potential, professional reputation ruined. I hope you're satisfied with your vendetta. This isn't over between us. Nathan forwarded the voicemail to Officer Ramirez with a brief note. Additional threat following previous incident. For your records, that evening, as Nathan prepared dinner in his apartment, there was a forceful pounding on his door. Through the peephole, he saw Brady, disheveled, wild-eyed, and clearly intoxicated. Open the door, Ryder, Brady shouted. Face me like a man. Nathan didn't respond. Instead, he called building security and Officer Ramirez simultaneously. Within minutes, the pounding stopped, replaced by the sounds of scuffle and Brady's voice protesting as he was restrained and removed from the premises. The next morning, Nathan received confirmation that Brady Thompson had been arrested for trespassing, making threats, and violating the restraining order Nathan had quietly obtained following their confrontation at the park. All the pieces had finally aligned. Brady faced professional ruin, criminal charges, and now a restraining order violation. Melanie had lost her comfortable lifestyle, her lover, and her reputation. Each consequence had emerged not from Nathan's vindictiveness, but from their own actions brought systematically to light. As February drew to a close, Nathan received one last communication related to his former life, a handwritten letter from Vanessa. Nathan, I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know I truly didn't understand what was happening until it was too late. Melanie has moved to our parents' home upstate. She's talking about starting fresh, somewhere new once the divorce is finalized. Brady calls her sometimes, but she doesn't answer. I think she finally sees him for what he is. I hope someday you find happiness again. You deserved better than what you received from both of us. Vanessa. Nathan placed the letter in a file containing all documentation of his marriage's dissolution. The file was nearly complete. Only the final chapter remained, the public conclusion that would cement everyone's fate. Chapter 9. Final Judgment. March arrived with warming temperatures and the first hints of spring. For Nathan, it brought the culmination of his 3-month strategy, the final public reckoning for everyone involved in his marriage's destruction. On March 5th, the Banking Commission announced formal proceedings against Brady Thompson for ethical violations and potential fraud. The press release mentioned systemic abuse of client relationships and improper acquisition of competitive intelligence, carefully worded phrases that professional circles understood completely. That same day, Brady appeared in court for his restraining order violation. Nathan testified calmly about the pattern of threats and the incident at his apartment building. The judge, noting Brady's increasingly erratic behavior, not only upheld the restraining order, but expanded its provisions and ordered Brady to undergo anger management assessment. As Brady was led from the courtroom, he shouted at Nathan, "You think you've won? This isn't over." Nathan didn't respond. For him, it had been over since Christmas morning. The following week, Nathan attended an industry conference where he was scheduled to present on emerging security threats. The ballroom was filled with security professionals, including several TechCore executives and representatives from competing financial institutions, Meridian Bank conspicuously absent. His presentation was technical, measured, and highly regarded. Afterward, during the networking reception, Nathan overheard frequent mentions of Brady Thompson's downfall, now a cautionary tale in banking circles. No one connected Nathan to these discussions, seeing him only as the newly promoted security director whose expertise had helped identify the breach. Richard Keller approached Nathan with a glass of sparkling water. Impressive presentation. The TechCore people were particularly attentive. "Thank you," Nathan replied. "I believe they've implemented our recommended protocols. Completely. They've also expanded our contract to include quarterly security audits." Richard lowered his voice. "By the way, I heard Thompson's facing potential criminal charges now. Apparently, the Banking Commission found evidence he'd been running this corporate intelligence scheme with multiple clients." Nathan nodded without surprise. Patterns of behavior rarely exist in isolation. "Well, their loss is our gain. TechCore has committed to a 3-year exclusive contract with us." As the conference concluded, Nathan's professional rehabilitation was complete. The security breach, which could have potentially damaged his career had it remained undiscovered, had instead become the foundation for his advancement. The careful way he'd handled the personal betrayal while maintaining professional standards had enhanced rather than diminished his reputation. On March 20th, Nathan's divorce was finalized. The house had been sold, assets divided according to the agreement, and all legal ties to Melanie severed. That evening, he received a text from her. "It's done. I hope someday you can forgive me." Nathan didn't respond. Forgiveness had never been part of his calculation. 2 days later, Nathan was called to testify in the preliminary hearing for Brady's corporate espionage case. He provided factual, unemotional testimony about the specific security protocols that had been compromised and how the breach had been identified. When Brady's attorney attempted to portray Nathan's involvement as personally motivated, Nathan calmly presented the timeline of discovery and reporting that demonstrated proper professional procedure throughout. The judge found sufficient evidence to proceed to trial, denying Brady's attorney's motion to dismiss. As Nathan left the courthouse, a reporter approached him. "Mr. Ryder, do you have any comment on today's decision to proceed with charges against your wife's lover?" "Ex-wife," Nathan corrected, "and no comment beyond what I stated under oath. This is a matter of professional ethics and corporate security, not personal vendettas." That evening, Nathan received an unexpected call from Hal Bergman. "Just heard about the Thompson case moving forward," Hal began. "Clean testimony. No emotional overtones. Facts speak for themselves," Nathan replied. "Indeed." Hal paused. "I also heard Melanie's leaving town, taking a teaching position upstate somewhere. I wish her well. Nathan said without inflection. Do you? I'll ask carefully. After everything that happened? My concern was never preventing her future, only ensuring appropriate consequences for past actions. And Brady will face the legal system for actual crimes committed. Nothing more, nothing less. I was silent for a moment. When this all started, I worried your need for justice might consume you. But you've been remarkably measured, almost surgical in your approach. Justice requires precision, Nathan said. Anything else is just revenge. After hanging up, Nathan opened his laptop and reviewed the final status of his 3-month plan. Every objective had been achieved. Professional rehabilitation and advancement, completed with his promotion and the expanded TechCore contract. Financial recovery, achieved through the proper division of assets and sale of the house. Appropriate consequences, delivered through systematic exposure of actual misdeeds, not fabricated accusations. Public vindication, established through professional channels without emotional displays. Complete severance, accomplished through legal and personal disentanglement. The following Monday, Nathan moved into a new condominium he'd purchased with his portion of the house sale proceeds and his increased salary. It was closer to Dynatech's offices and furnished exactly to his preferences. No compromises, no accommodations for anyone else's taste. As he unpacked, he found the small voice recorder he'd used during his confrontation with Brady at the park. The recording had served its purpose in the restraining order hearing. Nathan considered deleting it, then decided against it. Some evidence was worth preserving. On April 2nd, exactly 3 months since he discovered Melanie's betrayal, Nathan received news that Brady Thompson had accepted a plea agreement in the corporate espionage case. He would serve no jail time, but would pay significant restitution, perform community service, and be permanently barred from working in financial services. That same day, the final paperwork arrived, transferring Nathan's portion of the house sale proceeds to his account. The financial entanglement was completely resolved. That evening, Nathan sat on his new balcony overlooking the city lights. His phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. Melanie started her new job today. She asked about you. I didn't know what to say. After consideration, Nathan replied, There's nothing to say. That chapter is closed. Vanessa responded quickly. She seems to think someday you might reconcile. That time will heal this. Nathan's reply was simple. Some things aren't meant to heal. They're meant to be learned from. I've learned. He put his phone away and gazed at the city below. 3 months ago, his life had been shattered by a Christmas text and 2 gift boxes. One containing evidence of betrayal, the other a recording device that had captured Melanie and Brady's plans to remove him from his own home and life. Now, through methodical planning rather than emotional reaction, he had reconstructed his existence on his own terms. The architect of his destruction had been exposed and faced consequences proportional to his actions. The woman who had betrayed him had lost everything she tried to take and been forced to start over with the truth fully known. Nathan had not sought to destroy them beyond what their own actions warranted. He had simply ensured that everyone's true nature was revealed and appropriate consequences followed. As darkness settled over the city, Nathan closed his balcony door and turned to his empty, perfectly arranged apartment. Tomorrow would bring new security challenges at work, new systems to protect, new threats to identify and neutralize. His personal security had been comprehensively restored through measured response rather than blind retaliation. Some might call it revenge, but Nathan knew better. Revenge was emotional, excessive, ultimately hollow. What he had achieved was justice, precise, proportional, and final. He never spoke to Melanie again. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.